Hey,
Hey, girl.
how's it going?
Listen, looking amazing, feeling amazing. Life is just amazing.
That's good. Well, it's Friday, so it's amazing for me. I'm
Girl.
excited.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
yeah. So, we're back tonight with another discussion, you guys, on the Chanell Love 22 podcast with my blood work bestie, Miss Latoya D. Buchanan. And tonight we're going to be talking about migraines, trauma, and numbing the pain. So, Latoya, if you want to start off, you can. Are
Well,
you there?
absolutely. Absolutely. But I need one quick second. Okay. So
Okay.
just one
So
quick.
okay. Well, so tonight we're talking about, like I said, migraines, trauma and numbing the pain. Of course, everyone may have experienced a migraine or a really bad headache and didn't know that it was migraine. Sometimes it can not just be stress, it may be related to your hormones. Some symptoms of a migraine would be pulsating head pain. Some people even get nauseous before or have that or be really sensitive to light and sound.
Hmm.
Also the visual aura some people report before the onset of a migraine, or some people report like neck tension, really
Hmm.
really tense in their neck.
Yes.
Um, Migraines can be worsened by inflammation, gut disruption. So that gut health is important. It's gut health always comes up, right?
Absolutely.
Gut health is like top tier. It's
Stop.
gut brain connection. Every time, every conversation, I feel like we're talking about gut health. Like it
Hmm.
literally affects so many things when it's not where it's supposed to be. And
Right.
then nutrient deficiencies, such as magnesium or B vitamins.
Hmm.
And also, if you have a liver overload, that it's not, the liver's not detoxing your body how it should. It's
Hmm.
sluggish. The pathways are not draining as they should, or any hormonal
Right.
imbalances. So all of that, all of those things can also cause um be related to you having migraines.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that, like you said, that gut part, oh my goodness, it is so amazing every time we talk. How many different ailments in your body is connected to how well you manage your guts, or what you put in your mouth. What
Right,
you put in
right.
your mouth, what you decide to consume affects so many different things in your body. And people have a tendency to kind of look at things outside of what they can control, right? Well, I work here, or I lived here, right? Or I was raised this way and my parents did this, and well, I use this particular lotion, or I use this particular product, and this didn't happen to my body. But how many of us really look at what it is that we're eating that causes disruption in our body? Um,
Absolutely. Yep.
it's like, well, I felt like the migraines was coming from this, so I stopped. I stopped eating that. Or, but then the challenge comes in when it's like, okay, well, let's do an overhaul, which means that we're going to change what we are choosing to eat. That's where the challenge comes in, and it's human nature, and that's where you actually need support, and you need a partner to help you. Kind of transform your mind slowly to help you get used to changing what it is you put in your mouth, so that you can then change your body. Right. So I love how that comes up every time. I mean, it's just like right on point with what it is that we do. So,
Right.
yes,
Yeah. 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 And so, Latoya, do you have patients who complain of like migraine? Is
absolutely.
that like a common thing that you see as well?
Absolutely. And to be honest with you, a lot of what I see that comes in together, what we, call comorbidity. So these people have like migraines, and usually they also have blood pressure. Right. Or
Okay.
they say, it just came out of nowhere. And I went to the emergency room for like a hypertensive urgency, right? Which means their blood pressure was really high. Maybe they were having, just a headache. And then they get there, and it's like, oh, well, they told me that I was having the headache because of the high blood pressure. Right. Or, they're like, well, they never really found out why I was having a headache because they related it to the high blood pressure, but I still get those headaches sometimes. So
Mhm.
usually that heart and that headache is really closely connected with what I'm seeing. But again, my clients have had a difficult time trying to differentiate. Is it the blood pressure causing the headaches, or did I start to have a headache because my blood pressure was high? But as we know, we're trained to know that headaches can also be a symptom of a higher blood pressure than your normal. So that is definitely something that comes up for sure, for sure,
Right,
um,
right, yeah.
with the headaches.
Yeah, I feel like people definitely, even with hormonal imbalances, like we talked about the gut brain connection, or just their gut health in general, or someone with a whole bunch of inflammations, buildup of toxins, just so many different things could be triggering your migraine. And like you said,
Absolutely.
there's so many things that we're taught that kind of are related to having migraine headaches.
Yeah.
Another thing is just having history of trauma, and
Ooh,
trauma being, of course, we store trauma within our bodies if we aren't,
definitely.
releasing it or doing
Mhm.
the therapy to get rid of some of the tension, like the somatic therapy exercises that I recommend, or breath work, grounding, some of these things. If you're not doing any of those things, and of course your body holds memory,
Memory.
and yeah, and then you have those, that's of course, but then I just talked about how muscle tension in your neck, so neck and
Mhm.
shoulders is very a very common place
Right.
for people to hold tension, and that's a
Yes.
lot of people do complain of like a tension headache that brings on a migraine
Yes. Yes.
headache. So that's very important to recognize how
Hmm.
trauma can also be related to your migraines. And it's maybe you do
Mm.
have high blood pressure, but maybe, like you said, when you correct the high blood pressure, why am I still having migraines?
Or you might have the
You
high blood
know?
pressure and the headache because you had trauma.
Right.
Right, and you holding
Right.
on to that tension in your body, which is causing your body to release those same stressful chemicals over and over and over. They're just laying in your body, and those chemicals, they were created to help us respond in a situation where we're in danger, right? Okay,
Right.
a bear is chasing me. Am I going to fight the bear? Am I going to run from the bear? Right, but your brain doesn't recognize if a bear is chasing you or if you have a bill due. Your brain doesn't recognize if you are about to be hit by a car or if you're stressed out from work. Your brain does not differentiate that fear and that danger. So your body's response is, let me keep you safe. Let me help you,
Right.
choose which one you're going to do. Are you going to fight this issue? Or are you going to run from this issue? And a lot of things that happen in our brains, they just stick up there. So we're just thinking about it over and over and over and over. So there's no fighting it really because it's up here. So we're just in it. We're in that stressful state constantly all the time. And that's what brings about that high blood pressure, those chemicals,
Mhm.
laying dormant, the high blood pressure. And then
Yeah.
also, now we're talking about the headaches, right? As a result
Mhm.
of that too. And you talked about the breath work, which is very, very important because people don't realize after they've experienced a traumatic event, they stop breathing normally.
Mm.
Right now, in that acute situation, like right when it's happening, you might hyperventilate. You're breathing really fast, right? Because your body, that's a part of the response. I'm running from this thing, right? But after you have allowed that stress to lay dormant, in your mind and in your body for a long period of time, you just don't breathe correctly, right?
Right.
So you're like not really taking in a full deep breath to help your lungs, do that gas exchange that it needs to do, to release the CO2, pick up the oxygen so that it can circulate in your body and go to the organs it needs to go to. So you find yourself breathing maybe slower or not breathing deep enough. And that's one
Mhm.
of the things that clients are like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I wasn't doing that. But that's something that I find in their blood work looking at their CO2. And
Mhm.
I'm like, when you're looking at the low CO2, I'm like, so you're experiencing like a little bit of, anxiousness. It feels like your mind is a little clouded. Sometimes you can't can't really figure out maybe certain things at work you're kind of forgetting, maybe you're losing your keys around the house, or you just feel kind of burnt out and tired all the time. And it's
Mhm.
because of a low CO2, right? So you have to really, when you're able to look at what's happening with someone and give them the symptoms that they're feeling without them ever telling you, it really helps them to know, okay, I finally found the provider that's going to help me with this trauma, with this problem that, the trauma was a result of, now I'm feeling it
Right.
in my body. So,
Yeah, and so you did touch on a good point about the body, the brain not understanding that this trauma is related to this accident versus this trauma that you're experiencing at
hmm
another time.
hmm
That's what, and this keeps coming up as well, how we talk about your body being in that fight or flight mode and
hmm
the damage that it causes while your
yeah,
body is in that super fight or flight mode 100% of the time. Like
yeah,
you're hyper vigilant, you're hyper super anxious, and your body is just as anxious as you are on the inside
yes,
as
yes.
you are expressing on the outside. So you're experiencing um maybe palpitations or shortness of breath, as you
Ooh,
mentioned,
yes.
and your body does not have the opportunity to relax, because I still have clients who they might have a certain level of anxiety even while they're at work, school, or even just out, because some people have social anxiety, right? But when they go to lay
hmm
down, they still have anxiety, anxious thoughts, their mind is racing, so their body never has the time to relax and come out of that chronic fight or flight state.
hmm
So I do agree with you on the damage that can cause to your body and what your body actually goes through, especially with a traumatic event. And you mentioned
Exactly.
breath work, but a lot of we're not even taught how to breathe correctly
Correct.
prior to trauma.
That's right.
So
And it's
imagine
usually through
having
that trauma that you have somebody like you to teach you how to breathe correctly.
yeah, but imagine having like anxiety or panic attacks, and then on top of that, you probably aren't even realizing that you aren't breathing correctly, or you aren't
Right.
taking deep enough breaths. Like you said, when you teach somebody how to breathe correctly, they're like, "Oh,
hmm
okay." I
hmm
didn't realize that I wasn't breathing deep enough, or
hmm
I wasn't even using those muscles. So, yeah, absolutely. I
hmm
agree with all of that. And then also, you talked about the CO2 being elevated, but another one is elevated cortisol from trauma.
hmm
How that causes more inflammation in the body, muscle tightness, especially what we talked about in the neck and shoulders.
hmm
But all these can become migraine triggers, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the absence of, like, say it's not something else causing your migraine, it could still be
hmm
from trauma.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a vicious cycle. So trauma changes your breathing, and then your messed up breathing, it makes your trauma worse. So it's like either way, it does not get better if you don't have a means of seeking someone who understands what's happening on that level. Because whenever you are talking to someone who may not be trained in that area, they're just going to be like, oh, maybe you're stressed out, especially if they're not looking at it from a what we say root cause perspective.
Right.
So maybe you should just kind of chill out a little bit. Maybe you should try some yoga. And all of those things are really good. But it
Mhm.
definitely helps to have a provider that understands this process and what's happening with you. So, then in turn, you're not brushed off, but now you have someone who's actually able to help you for real because they understand deeply what's happening with you. You're stuck in fight or flight. So you're unconsciously, you don't even realize that you're over breathing. So now your CO2 is being depleted. So it's making your blood more alkaline. Now it's making you feel more anxious. So it's
Mhm.
like, that helps to be able to tell a client that because they're like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. Versus, oh, you're stressed out, go do yoga. Well, I know I'm stressed out and I know I probably need to do yoga, but it will help me if you can tell me exactly what's happening. Because a lot
Right.
of people, and maybe you've seen this with some of your people, a lot of people actually do better when they have an understanding of what's going
Of
on.
what's going on, right.
you
Mhm.
know it helps them to want to change, because you
Yeah.
can't change something that you really don't know about, and you're coming to the person who you believe has that experience to help, guide you in the right direction. And if they're not able to fully educate you on what is happening in your body, based on some objective data, aka your
Mhm.
blood work.
Mhm.
Now it's like, oh, now I have confidence in this person to help me, because not only did they listen to me, they actually educated me and told me what was happening based on what's happening in my blood and in my body. So, that's a real connection right there that you really don't get with everyone in the
Right.
medical community.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also another lab marker that we monitor is low magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
As low magnesium is common for, I mean, for people to, it could be a sign. Well, if you have low magnesium, it can be a trigger of migraines, of course,
Yes.
because magnesium is what calms the nerves and
Yeah.
relaxes your muscles. So if your
Yeah.
magnesium is low and you don't have enough within your body, then of course it can trigger a migraine.
Yes.
But chronic migraines, I mean, well, chronic trauma keeps the body in that stressful level, as we fight or flight that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we talked about the cortisol and how it leads to the inflammation in your body. So,
Yes.
as you mentioned, the root cause blood work, and I feel like you remember I offered the root cause blood work analysis special. What
Yes.
was it, $3.99?
Yeah.
A lot of people took advantage of that,
Yes.
and that was like that really was a gem for them, because
Yes.
what they were told by their provider was normal
Mm-hmm.
really wasn't where it was should be, in the terms of functional medicine or optimal levels
Exactly.
of where it should be. So they really was like, wow, I'm not just crazy.
Yes, you explained why.
Feeling, yeah, because a lot of people are like, I know, I mean, I feel this way, but everything is normal, and then they're not getting any answers. They don't understand what's going on. Like, I know you told me about your story through your book that you wrote, but yeah, right.
Yes.
That you wrote. So we've all experienced, feeling like something is just not right. So I always
Yeah.
encourage people. You talked about having people understand what's going on with their body. That's
Yeah.
something that I always encourage, because I feel like if you
Yes.
understand what's going on with your body, I encourage people to do that, because I want them to take charge of their health care.
Exactly.
If somebody's telling you something is normal,
Mm-hmm.
this looks good. Remember, I said by the time your body is screaming for help, the process have already begun with
Exactly.
the disease process,
The
right? So
disease. Yeah.
you feel that. Your body feels that,
Yes.
and you paying attention to that
Mm-hmm.
early on can help you intervene and maybe catch it before it gets too bad.
And preserve your organs, because
Yeah.
once your body gets to that disease state, now we're talking about your organs are really struggling, right? And that's evident when they look and say, oh yeah, now they're abnormal. Let's not wait until, oh yeah, now they're abnormal. Let's not wait until, oh yeah, your kidney function is abnormal now. Oh yeah, your liver is struggling right now. Like, no, let's catch it when it's like the liver is saying, hey, signal, choop choop, in your blood. Let me look what we say. Let me throw this in there real quick. Hey, let me let me
Right.
throw in my 2 cents. Your girl down here not getting enough blood flow. So we gonna do something about that, or we just gonna keep going the way we going. That
Right.
helps for someone to be able to catch that and say, ooh, what, your liver just raised their hand in the classroom and let me know that it didn't quite understand this mathematical formula. Remember the Pythagorean theorem? Lord, who came up with that? Anyway.
I was about to say, don't be showing
Anyway,
out on here,
listen, no,
Latoya.
no. But no, but it's like throwing his hand up saying, excuse me, I don't understand what's happening. Could you please clarify? So to have a provider that, has the ability to communicate with your organs and say, hey, your liver threw his hand up. Hey, your kidney said, hello, please help
Right.
now, right?
Right.
Or your brain is telling me it's super stressed out and it's releasing these chemicals, that's elevating your potassium, or has your potassium low, or your sodium is high, or your sodium is low, right? And it's letting me know, listen, we are still in a stressful state. And this, a lot of times, is stuff people haven't told you, but it helps to have someone who, as I say, is bilingual and understand that language as well, and not just normal abnormal language, but they understand
Ooh,
dysfunctional
you dropping
language.
bars.
Yes, with my music. but
Okay.
but yeah, they understand that language, because that
She
helps
read that.
you
You read
now.
that blood work, huh?
Now your organs, they're very happy. You know, your
Right.
body is very happy and is very grateful that someone actually heard it screaming. You know, it's like a kid amongst adults, like, somebody listen to me, somebody listen to me. I don't know why I'm doing all these voice prompts tonight, but
Oh.
you know, that's what it's
Okay.
saying. And
Yeah.
you know, it's like I'm hearing the little kid, you know, it's in the midst of the adult saying there's something going on. That's
Mhm.
what root cause blood work analysis and root cause blood work functional medicine is. And it's helpful because we catch
Right.
in the organs when they're still able to be preserved. Honestly, there is nothing to me. Well, there are a few things I can say. Let me not,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
make it all inclusive, but it's a very sad situation for me as a provider and a holistic provider, that when someone comes to me and they are in end organ damage, which means their organs are so damaged at this point it's beyond repair.
Mm.
That's a conversation, honestly, I don't like to have, because can I still help you, give you energy during your final time here on this earth? Yes. But now this organ has become so damaged to the point that what I can give you is I can add more quality to the years that you have left, because your years are limited, you know,
Mhm.
based on what's happening in your body.
Yeah.
I prefer not to have that conversation. And that's why I'm grateful that we get to do things like this, to put the information out to the public so they can see that olive branch is being extended, that there are people like you and I that are actually able to help them. I went down a rabbit hole, but that's okay because I felt it. I felt
That's all
it.
right. I also want to touch a little bit on we talked about trauma as it relates to migraines, but also talk about people numbing the pain of trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very common, very common.
Ooh, yes.
The main thing that I always well, I feel like the most popular way is alcohol, right? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
people absolutely turn to alcohol in order to numb the pain because they are not ready to face whatever it is they're going through, especially, when you're dealing with grief or you're dealing with something very traumatic that happened to you. You witnessed something very traumatic. That's something hard to deal with. And a lot of people, like we talked about before, especially in the African American community, are not comfortable with just going to therapy after experiencing something traumatic. Because guess what? We
Mm-hmm.
we are taught that we can handle it, we're strong. That's taboo, basically, going to therapy or needing therapy. So um we try to handle it and take things up in our own way, but end up doing things like drinking more alcohol, overeating. Some people are using caffeine as well to kind of help get through the day, versus, like, how some people are like, I hear people all the time say they can't start their day without coffee or without their energy drink, like they can't make it through the day without it. So those are some things that people are doing um to kind of self-medicate, basically. Self-medicate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I would definitely say that is one of the things that honestly really saddens me with the trauma piece of it, um, is the numbing, the self numbing. Because
Mhm.
honestly, how much can a human being actually deal with in their mind?
Yeah.
Right? When they've experienced something that they prefer not to remember, and all they can do is continue to remember. That's right, Damien. That's right, Damien. Therapy is a 10 out of 10, because
Right.
that's where I'm going. You know, this person is continuing to experience something in their minds that they really are trying their best not to remember, but all they can
Right.
do is think about it. You know, so they try to find something that will help take that away. And when you have been, you know, backed into a corner by being told, oh, therapy is only for crazy people, therapy is not for you, you can't trust therapy, you know, things like that. So for you, that's no longer an option. You don't even consider therapy because you've been told by whomever for most of your life or all of your life that therapy is not for you. So it's not even an option. You don't even think about it, right?
Right.
And so what you do is kind of lean on things that you've observed growing up, when things were happening within your family, and whatever you saw the adults doing to numb the pain, or to not have to think about things or that were
Mhm.
stressful, or not have to deal with the result of things that happened to them that was stressful. You're going to mock whatever that you see them do. And sometimes it might not even be in your family, it could be in your social environment, right, in your
Right,
social
right.
circle. And
Yep.
or you're talking to somebody, and although they don't present therapy to you, they will tell you, maybe you should take a shot, take 2 shots, take 3 shots, take 10 shots. Before you know it, every day since you took those shots, you're like, oh wow, when I took those shots, I didn't remember this anymore. So
Right.
now that becomes your day to day. That is now your medicine. It has become your medicine because it helped you numb those thoughts and take
Mhm.
that the continuous playing of that trauma in your head that you no longer want to feel. And that's it's it breaks my heart. It's really unfortunate.
It is, and it's really common in our community, right? Because on every corner there's what? A liquor store, right?
That's right.
So everybody like that's like the social thing to do, right? You have a
Mm-hmm.
family get together, party, whatever. It's alcohol, alcohol, alcohol. Hang out with
Uh-huh.
your girls, it's alcohol. It's a birthday, it's alcohol. Like
Mm-hmm.
just imagine though somebody who experienced something traumatic or even been through something traumatic and have PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
those things that pop up from time to time and they're self-medicating with alcohol. I just imagine how their liver is holding like that over time, of course. And then also alcohol has been classified as the third leading cause
Ooh.
cancer now.
Oh my goodness. That's it.
Alcohol, yeah, like that's something that I guess they've recently have discovered. So I don't even, everything changes. Just like the
Mm-hmm.
same food that you used to have when you was little is not the same. The
Mm-hmm.
alcohol is not the same. So
Right.
there are different, different of course different things that go into making alcohol, but I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
everything is not the same. So what you seen your grandpa do or your uncle do, you
Mm-hmm.
can't do that same thing because everything that you have today is not the same quality of what it was when your grandpa did it or when your grandma did it. So,
Right.
people like you mentioned about people being in households and growing up seeing certain things, and of course these are learned behaviors. So
Mm-hmm.
if you see your grandpa or your dad or whoever take a drink every day, drink a beer every day,
Mm-hmm.
you think that that's a way to deal with stress, unwind. It's just a normal part of your life, but
Mm-hmm.
today I don't trust nothing today.
I mean, not as your go-to, for everything, any trauma that you're experiencing. I do want to drive home. I don't want, people who do decide that, they can be in a social situation, have a drink and be okay. That when they experience trauma or a traumatic event, they're actually coping well with it. They're not dependent upon substances to
Oh
help
yeah.
them numb the pain. But when it comes down to, as Sweet Tea was saying, in certain communities, that is what's observed. And when you also look at certain communities, especially low income communities, you have to also look at what's available in those neighborhoods for that particular community of people. And those are going to be your liquor stores. Those are going to be your convenience stores that has, certain beers in those, the larger beers, right? Because you go to other convenience stores, you might not see those same types of beer being provided, or in the same sizes and all of that. But when you go to more of a lower income community, you will see, the large beers in the fridge there. I mean, it's really what's being placed in front of that community to say, hey, this is the way that you cope.
Right.
Right. I mean, how many times can anybody that is listening to this live or the recording actually say you can be in a middle class neighborhood? Well, no, I'm sorry. You can be in you can drive through a low income neighborhood and you see signs up for counseling and therapy on the billboard.
Right.
The signs they have in the ground that says, we'll buy your diabetic supplies. How you going to take somebody diabetic supplies? and give them $5. but
Right.
but we can't put those same signs there that says, therapy is available based on a sliding scale. Anything, therapy is important, therapy heals, therapy saves lives, those types of things. That's not something that you see in the low income community as an option for you. And getting over it through income in some families, and in other cultures as well, it's viewed as a sign of weakness. You
Right.
don't do therapy because therapy says that you're weak. Well, first of all, who even needs to know that you're doing therapy? Nobody, really.
Right.
Nobody needs to know that you're doing therapy. So guess what? Let me be weak for a moment. Maybe I am weak. Maybe you just don't
Mhm.
see my weakness because you're used to seeing me being so strong. But I know that I need this therapy. So I'm going to go get it. But that's a very interesting statistical fact, Sweet Tea, that it's now, one of the leading causes in cancer. I mean, it's
Mhm.
causing cancer. And we
Mhm.
all know what cancer does. We see it on social media, F cancer. People don't like cancer. They don't like seeing what cancer does to their family members, what it does to their friends, to their loved ones. I mean, it's very it's a very difficult process to watch with someone who has been
Mhm.
diagnosed with cancer, going through chemo, the radiation, losing their hair, skin is changing, personality changing, losing weight, not eating. And this is someone you love and you care about.
Right.
It's very difficult to watch that and to understand that therapy can replace the alcohol that causes something like cancer. It seems very simple, but it also seems very challenging for people who are not aware of that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was good. That was
Yeah,
good.
I think that just I think like you mentioned, there's not just enough awareness of it, and it's not that accepted throughout the African American
Mhm.
community, but
For sure.
also I don't even think some people um have that on their list of options. So just bringing awareness to it and having people understand that there is a safe space for
There
them.
is a safe
There's
space.
a safe space for them, and that,
Yeah.
like you said, everybody don't have to know what you're doing. Like, if you feel like telling someone you're going to therapy is a sign of weakness and you don't wanna be viewed in that way, then of course don't tell everybody that you're going to therapy. But
Nobody.
also, I want I do wanna say that it's okay to be weak. It's okay to have a weak moment. It's
Yes.
okay to not be okay, because everybody is not perfect. Everybody has ups and
Yeah.
downs. Life is all about balance, and just finding that balance, finding that ground to be able to lift yourself up in times when you aren't okay, and just knowing that the sunny days will come. There's always storms and rain, and seems like when it rains it pours, but the sun's going to come out again. So just having that balance of knowing when to get help or when to seek therapy is always important, and always important for people to understand it's okay to not be okay, especially those high achievers or people who
Ooh.
are dependent on by their whole family,
Yes.
and looked at and viewed as so strong. Like, everybody has their time. Everybody
Yeah.
have their time of weakness, and everybody have their time of needing someone else to feel safe with. So,
That's right. Everyone has a breaking point. And I've seen that even in the military, what I can't say, it's actually real. Okay, I saw it in a movie. I said it. But anyway, it was a good point. It was a good
I was
point.
about to say, Latoya, you was in the military.
It was a good I had to make sure I changed some words around. We're not gonna lie. We're not lying. We're not doing that. That's not what we're here for. But I saw in a movie where it was a military movie. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a guy talking about how everyone, every human being has their breaking point. I mean,
Mhm,
even the strongest of the military, when they were captured in this movie, they were trained to endure the pain and to endure anything that they were doing to them,
mhm,
right? To cause them to try to give any information about their country. And but they also understood that everyone has their breaking point. And so they were trained on what to do when they felt like they were getting to that breaking point, right? And I'm not going to get into that because it was, very graphic, but it really helped me to see, wow, even the strongest of the strong in this particular movie, they were trained in a way to know it's human nature to know that there's a limit,
Yeah.
and that you will get to a point where you will feel weak. It's going to happen. It's unavoidable. It's not something you can say it will never be me. Again, you can't be all inclusive with this. Like, it will never be me. That's only people who do this. That's only people. No, it's every human being that gets to that point where they feel down, where they feel discouraged, where they feel weak, where they feel like maybe at another point in their life they were at a higher height or they were doing greater things. And now they are not where they feel like they want to be. And so it's very possible for your mood to be low. So
Mm-hmm.
understand this, you know, therapy does not always mean that there is something broken, right?
Right.
Although it's okay to be broken, it doesn't always mean that there is something broken. But this is the good thing. Some things that are broken can be fixed. They can
Mm.
be mended,
Right.
right? And some things that are broken, if they can't be fixed, there can be new things that are built upon. Some things come about in your life so that you can learn new ways to cope.
Right.
I'm gonna say that again. Some things happen in your life so you can truly learn new ways to cope, because maybe your life's purpose is so much bigger than what you see, and the
Mhm.
ways that you are used to coping does not work for the purpose for your particular life. It's maybe something you were nurtured with or something that you were exposed to, but maybe that's not the way that coping should happen for you. So
Mm.
therapy could very well be the missing link that will help propel you forward to your goals and to your dreams and the things you want to do the most. For sure.
Right. Right. And seeking therapy, of course, I am accepting clients. So for medication management and therapy as well, it just depends. But I do have a great therapy group to refer people to, Catalyst Counseling Therapy Services. They have several different counselors, several different therapists. And Latoya, I just want to mention that when we say go to therapy or seek therapy, it is as important to make sure that you connect with your therapist or you have that therapeutic relationship and
Oh
feel
yeah.
like you're in a safe space, because
Hmm.
if you don't have that, then you're doing therapy for what? Like,
Right.
therapy is literally for you. So you have to be comfortable and you have to feel like you can do the work that needs to be done in
That's
order to be there. So yeah, I do think that that's very important. Like, and don't ever feel like you are in the wrong for asking for a different therapist if you don't feel
mhm.
comfortable with your therapist. Like, that's it's common for people to switch therapists because sometimes you just don't connect with that therapist, and
Exactly.
that might not be the person for you. They
Good.
can't do what it takes to help you. So it's
That's
best
good.
to just move around.
That's good. That's a really good point. I can honestly say that, um,
Do you have a
people.
therapist, Latoya?
Let me tell you something. Yes, really.
That's good.
Therapist, coach, however you choose to label it. This
Mhm.
is someone that listens to you. This is my perspective of therapy, because everyone's perspective is different. But therapy ultimately should help you to maintain safety, and it should help you propel forward, move forward, right? It should
Right.
help you learn how to solve problems better in your life and move forward. And you have a lot of people now that use the title of a life coach, right? When you think about a
Mhm.
life coach, that's someone who's helping you through different things that you encounter in your life that maybe you can, you've thought in every way that you can to think of a solution, and you have not been able to come up with that solution on your own. And then, mind you, you know, you are only able to utilize the tools that you have been taught up until that point in your life to try to solve your problem. And if those tools don't work, and you turn to the right and your best friend solve problems the same way you do, and you turn to the left and your parents solve problems the way that you do, no one can help you in your circle solve your problem. Okay.
Right.
No one
Right.
in your circle can help you solve that problem. So, yes, you need to seek outside counsel. That's another word you can use, outside reliable counsel
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
is able to listen to you and guide you in the right direction safely. So, I have a business
Yeah.
coach. Okay. I have a life coach. I mean, and this is just for different things, that
Mhm.
I'm able to utilize to help me to maintain and to move forward
Right.
It's not just, oh, I just want to get through another day. No, I have goals and dreams that I'm meeting, and goals
Right.
and dreams I want to continue to meet. So those people are there to support me and to help me see areas that maybe I'm like slacking, that I'm not willing to admit I'm slacking in this area. And they bring awareness to it. Hey, Latoya, you said this is what you would like to meet. So in order to meet this, you need to do A, B, or C, right? That
Right.
is therapy.
Yeah.
That is
And I'm
therapy.
glad you mentioned that, because when you say like you got your friends, your sister, your whoever in your close circle, a lot of times people in your close circle don't want to be too honest with you, because they may know how you react, or they know how you are going to take it coming from them. And sometimes you could hear the same message coming from someone else who's not in your circle, that you've been getting in your circle, and it just sounds different. You might receive it different coming from somebody else who's not that familiar with you. But so I agree, having someone with that outside view to be able to help you work through things that you're going through, or any problems, like you said, life coach, any goals that you're dealing with, like sometimes viewing things from a different perspective makes a whole world of a difference. So yeah, I agree, Latoya. I
Yeah.
also have a coach, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
am part of professional groups, support groups that kind of reach out and help each other and do things to support each other outside of work or even with work.
Yes.
So
Yes.
everyone needs that support. Everyone needs
Yes.
that support.
It's a different perspective to help you solve solutions better in your life,
Hmm.
and or to help you meet the goals that you have set for yourself. That's
Right.
the way that you look at it. That's the way that you think about it. But that is not the way you've been taught it. So we're presenting that new ideology to you today. Therapy is a person, a group that will help you to maintain your peace of mind where you are in life, help you find creative ways to solve challenges that may come up in your life, and that will propel you and push you forward to meet the goals you have set for yourself in a safe way, in a safe environment with someone who actually listens to you. So the people that are feeling lonely and that are seeking a best friend, that's actually what your body could be telling you that it needs for release, is a therapeutic environment,
Mm-hmm.
right? that's
Yep.
that's conducive to the healing of your mind, and releasing it, having a mental, I know my mental health instructor in school used to say, having a mental bowel movement, just getting it out.
Yeah.
And I remember I knew someone who used to say, I'm talking to everybody around me about the same problems, about the same things. I know they're tired of hearing it, but I just don't know what to do. Right. But this particular day, they chose to talk to me about what they were experiencing and what they were going through. And I'm not a certified therapist. I'm not a certified mental health coach. I'm not a certified psychologist. But that day, it was in a therapeutic environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to help them find solutions that actually worked for them to help them overcome that particular challenge.
Yeah.
So you can find therapeutic situations, but in this case with trauma, it's definitely the safest, and it's definitely more helpful and healing to you, to make sure that you have that consistent therapeutic environment. And now
Mm-hmm.
don't go to your best friend or your boyfriend. Somebody, we need to start having a therapeutic environment every Thursday at 6.
No, but I encourage that. I
I mean,
encourage
no, no,
that.
no, no. That's cool. But I mean,
Yeah.
like, if you are a trauma, like if you've gone
Right.
through
If you
some
have
deep
some deep
seated,
rooted, yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah, I
that's
agree.
not your, no, no. Now, if you just need to talk some things out, I understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's healthy. But if you've had some deep rooted trauma, and you know what that deep rooted trauma is, this is the thing that
Right.
stays on your mind when you're trying to forget it. It's the thing that
Mm-hmm.
comes up to you that causes you to stay back in life when really you want to move forward, right?
Right.
It's the things that play over and over in your head at night that wake you up from your sleep, or that causes you not to be able to focus at work or with raising your children or in your marriage or your relationship. That's deep rooted trauma. That's not a every Thursday night wine time in front of the fireplace with your bestie or your boo. No, it's a consistently therapeutic environment to help you have that mental bowel movement, and to help you to know some safe ways
We
that
need
will
to
help
find a
you to
new.
move forward.
We need to find a new. I don't like it. What did she say? A mental bowel movement. You just keep repeating that term like it's just
You
it.
gotta give me something else. That's what I remember. And it just because what it does is like, oh, when you think about it, okay, it's egregious a little bit,
Oh
yes,
my god.
right?
I just feel
But you
like
get
it's
it.
just yeah,
You
I
get
get
it.
it. Yeah, you released. Yeah, you let it go. I got
That's
it.
what Elsa said. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just want to promote of course our root cause blood work analysis because that's getting to the root, like you said, of some issues. And like I said, trauma lies in the body and it does its damage through keeping you in that fight or flight mode. And then that also in turn causing damages to your organs over time. But just to be in that optimal level of functioning with your body, like doing a mental health side of it as far as therapy, it's important to do the root cause blood work or just to dive into the actual physical symptoms that you're having as well. And that's
Hmm.
you can help we can help you recognize what those issues are with the root cause blood work analysis and then
Right.
come up with a customized plan to help you overcome that in the most
Right.
natural holistic way
Yeah.
possible.
Right.
But getting to the root of what's going on, just starting with standard labs is something that we can do. I always want to encourage everybody to understand that their pain is valid and healing is
Yeah.
possible. Of course, your healing journey starts with you when you are ready. There's no one
Mhm.
else who can do it but you. So whenever you're ready for therapy, then you'll know. Or whenever you're ready to start that healing journey, then you'll know. I do encourage, not Marie, Latoya mentioned
Mhm.
having those therapeutic conversations with people within your circle. I
Yes.
do think that that's helpful and having someone to talk to
Mhm.
about things that you went through or things that you're going through is important, but also being in a safe space because there are still things that you probably don't want to tell everybody in your circle, or there are people who experience things so traumatic in their past that they have never even mentioned it to someone else. So mentioning that to someone in your circle, you kind of like, oh, I don't want them to view me as, in a different light, or it's just a hard conversation sometimes. So just finding that space that's safe for you to
Mhm.
release that and move your body physically in a better space from that trauma is key for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also to leave you with some labs that you should request from your provider. We would not be the blood work besties if we did not provide you with this information. Vitamin D is not good enough to just be greater than 30. Okay. So trauma can lead to chronic inflammation that will deplete your vitamin D. And then low vitamin D actually worsens outcomes of PTSD and depression.
Mhm.
But vitamin D needs K2 because without K2, vitamin D cannot regulate calcium properly, and it actually risks you having calcifications in your arteries, also known as heart attacks and strokes. Okay, so about 90 something percent of my patients, I'm gonna say
You
90,
do the K2?
95. It's really a high number of my patients. I'm gonna say 95% of my patients are severely vitamin D deficient. Okay, but
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
popping vitamin D though is not enough. It's like a car without brakes. So K2 actually directs that calcium into bones and
Mhm,
out of your arteries. Okay, so
mhm,
trauma already strains your heart, so you don't want to add calcification. So make sure you ask for that vitamin D lab, because what it does is it's going to actually enhance that brain derived naturopathic factor, which is critical
mhm,
for healing trauma because you
mhm,
have damaged neural pathways. So, trauma, again, that stress response. Those chemicals laying dormant in your body for a long period of time will cause your neurological pathways to be damaged. So it actually
mhm.
causes physical stress in your body. Also, blood work besties recommend that you are also looking at these thyroid thyroid,
Right.
thyroid. And people like to tell me, they looked at my thyroid, it was fine. Your thyroid is not
Mhm.
fine. Your thyroid was dysfunctional, but they look at what? Blood work bestie? Normal, abnormal. They
No
don't look
matter.
at dysfunctional.
Not only that, they don't really draw everything that's needed
That's what I
to
was
even
going.
determine.
That's
Yeah.
what I was
So,
going. We want the full thyroid panels, TSH,
right.
free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and the TPO antibodies. I'm telling you,
Mhm,
that is
mhm.
not something that you're going to get. They'll probably do a TSH, say it's normal, and then move on. But
Right.
trauma actually affects that hypothalamic and pituitary axis, which is what releases your thyroid hormone, what stimulates your thyroid hormone, what tells it, to go to your skin, be moist, go to your hair grow, go to your nails grow, go to your stomach, make sure everything's regulated fine, go to your heart, beat appropriately, right? So what happens is that when you have trauma, it actually, as Sweet Tea said, causes that cortisol to go up. That cortisol is going to start sucking the life out of your thyroid hormone. Okay, so we talking about cellular hypothyroidism. Even if your labs are normal, you still are
Mhm.
experiencing fatigue. You tired all the time. You still gaining weight. You still depressed. Okay. So a lot of patients that I have seen that actually are dealing with some type of trauma in their life, they have a normal TSH, but they feel really, really bad. So your
Mhm.
body's just literally in survival mode. So it's shutting down metabolism to conserve energy. So again, those labs are your TSH. Write it down, people. So you can ask when you go to your doctor, your TSH, your free T3, your free T4, your reverse T3, and your TPO antibodies. Okay. So we want to make sure that you are educated when you leave from the Blood Work Besties, that you know what it is that you should be asking for. And if you're not getting it, guess what? We're here
Right here, available,
to you.
ready and available. Yeah. So
Yes.
I have, of course, on my website, eternitywellness22.life, where you can register for a consultation, or if you're just ready to jump into that root cause blood work analysis, you could do that. And also, I just want to mention real quick, I do have the cellular cleanse on there, Latoya. So I actually am in the no, I'm almost on my third week. And when I tell you this cellular cleanse is the business, I love it. I love it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to recommend it to people who I know need it. But it's also an option on my website as well if you're interested in that. And it gives you a little information about that on my social media pages as well. Sweet
Mhm.
TMP across all social media platforms. And you guys can inbox me or comment more info, and I will reach out to you, or you can schedule that free consultation. And yeah, we just move forward from there.
All right. And I am the Blood Work NP on Instagram and TikTok. I'm the Blood Work Nurse Practitioner on Facebook, and Latoya D. Buchanan. Also available to you, whatever it is you feel like you need. And if it's not you, we know you know someone that you were thinking
Right.
about tonight when we were talking. Make sure you just send them this video. You don't even have to say much. Hey, I saw something interesting on Facebook. I saw something interesting on Instagram, and shoot it to
Mhm.
them. Let people make that decision on, give them the ability and the autonomy, the independence to make that decision for themselves. Don't say, I'm going to just send this to them and they're not going to do anything with it. No, send it to them and let this fall in their ears, let this fall in their soul and in their brain to allow them to make that decision. So you've listened, you were here for a reason, you heard this message for a reason. Send it to someone else to help them, because we know you know someone who it can help. Okay.
Absolutely. As always, it's always a good time with you, Latoya. Very informational tonight. And this is the last live for the Mental Health Awareness Month. So we will be back next month, but not every week like we've been, but
Yes.
absolutely once a month. We said that we were going to, commit to going live. So if anyone
Yes.
has any questions that they would like answered, or any topics that they want discussed, feel free to drop it in my DM, or Latoya's DM, or
Mm-hmm.
just comment that
Come here.
you want a consultation, and we can do that as well.
Yeah, and ask questions about the information that we talk about in these videos. Drop the comments under the videos. Ask questions. We'll respond to you. We'll make sure that you have the information that you need. But we're available to you, and you, and you, and you.
Look, I'm surprised you ain't do that many songs this live.
Girl,
You
I was
you
trying
usually
so
be lit on
hard.
Friday.
I was trying so hard. I said I'm gonna try to behave tonight, but after a while, it's who I
Yeah.
am. I did sing Elsa Let It Go. I did sing that
Well,
one.
Elsa ain't the turn up like
You
you
don't
usually
think
be.
she
So
is?
I mean, come on, Latoya.
It was one day I was really hitting them that day. I was like, what is going on? I feel like the radio tonight. it was just falling in line with what I was saying. I go with the way that the spirit flows,
Okay.
and tonight it was Elsa, Let It Go. Somebody need to let it go. And if you didn't like my
Yeah,
mental health
let the trauma go. You're right. So I
yes,
agree.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
telling you. It was Let It Go. It fell in line with everything. Um, thank you, Hiram. We try to drop gems for you guys on here. God bless you too. But yeah, tonight it was definitely very important to make sure that people knew they needed to let it go and have that. Okay, come on, let's find another word quickly for the people.
I think let it go is valid. Let's just leave it there. You do not mention the mental BM or what you say? What'd you say she called it?
A mental bowel movement. But
Okay, well,
mind
yeah,
you, she's
nah.
talking to nursing students, so we like,
Mhm.
the round table like, we writing it down like, oh, that's good.
Like, that's
The kid is
good.
good.
Oh, that's too funny. I think we'll stick with Elsa. I'm good with let it go. That's enough.
Listen, that's right, Hiram. Let it go and let.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. But no, he said let go and let. I got you. I got you. I got you. That's a good one. What's the mental bowel movement?
Oh my God. Well, you gotta run it back.
A mental bowel movement is you releasing all of the thoughts that are in your mind that is actually, that you keep on repeat, right? So it's just like the song you keep playing on repeat. And these are thoughts that's continuing to cause you stress in your body. And there may be thoughts that you don't want to continue to have, but you keep having them from an event that's happened in your life that you're trying to forget, but it keeps replaying itself. So a mental bowel movement is the time and the safe space that you are in when you release those thoughts to someone who is trusted and who's provided you a safe space and a safe environment, so that they can then in turn help you find healthy ways to cope and to get through those thoughts and to get through that trauma. Okay, plush boy getting in it. Does that clarify your question?
You're so
Yeah.
funny. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. What a time. This is amazing. He said, valid. All right. Good. Good deal. Good
Yeah, well,
deal.
all right. Well, guys, I provide that safe space as I mentioned.
Yes.
Latoya,
Yes.
you
You
have
do.
a safe space too. I mean, I know you're
I
not
have a
mental
safe
health,
space,
but
but you are board
yeah,
certified, my dear. You are board certified. So, you
yeah.
want to give honor to who honor is due when it's in the power of your hand to do it. And it is definitely yours. I'll provide a therapeutic space, as I
Mhm.
talked about. But when you're talking about really getting into it and really helping people through that space in a holistic and in a root cause focused way, you, my dear, are the jam. For real.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you. But I
All right.
do offer that. I do offer that with my packages as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's all inclusive. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Well, all right, Latoya. It was nice seeing you and talking to you tonight. We'll be back next month with another live with the Chanell Love 22 podcast, answering any of you guys' questions. Feel free to chime in as I mentioned, and follow us across the platforms as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Peace out. Chanell Love 22. It's a vibe. Like, follow, and subscribe.
Disclaimer. The information shared on the Chanell Love 22 podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not medical advice. Neither the host, guest, nor the podcast assumes responsibility for any actions taken based on this content. Listeners are strongly encouraged to consult a licensed healthcare provider before making any changes to their health, including medications, supplements, or treatments. This podcast is intended to comply with applicable regulations. However, it is not a substitute for legal or medical advice specific to your location. Listeners outside of the United States should ensure they follow healthcare guidance and regulations relevant to their regions. Thank you for listening, and remember, health is wealth.